Arsenій Yacenyuk, who is the former Prime Minister of Ukraine between 2014 and 2016. He's now one of the opposition leaders. Mr. Yacenyuk, thank you very much for joining us on LBC. How do you read the situation overnight? What has changed over the last 24 hours?
We are fighting like hell. Ukraine resists. And Putin made miscalculation that my country is to fail. He did it a number of times in 2004 when he handpicked his president who then fled to Russia in 2014 and for now. We show very strong resilience. We will fight and we will win.
Do you feel that you need more support from Western countries?
Look, I want to be very clear about this. It has to be on a fast track, as quick as possible, because there is an ongoing decision to cut off a number of Russian banks and financial sector from the SWIFT operation. But it's not enacted yet. And there are deliberations. How many banks have to be cut off? How to pay for the energy products that are still sent into the European Union? And another issue, which is to press on the Russian central bank and actually to freeze his assets. This would be a very strong action, which will definitely deter Putin's Russia. So we do understand that we don't have military boots of our Western allies on the Ukrainian soil. We are fighting with our arms and our soldiers. But what we definitely need, a very strong, not just deterrence, it's a kind of financial and nuclear option to stop his financial flows.
And it looks as if that might be happening today. I think Germany was the last European country to be holding out against the SWIFT payment system being withdrawn from Russia. But I think that seems to have been overcome now. So these things are slowly happening, but clearly you would like them to happen much more quickly. Can I ask you about President Zelensky? Because the impression that we get in the UK is that he's been an absolute hero in this, a very brave man. Now, you're an opposition leader. What do you make of how he's handling this crisis so far?
Going back to the previous issue, I want to reiterate once again. So we need this as quick as possible. We are not allowed to drag our feet. Because, look, Russian military is trying to conquer the major cities in Ukraine. So the faster, the better to stop financial flows of the Russian Federation. In terms of the President Zelensky, I do respect the way he acts. I have the biggest respect to the Ukrainian military, to the Ukrainian men and women in the uniform.
What about, what are you hearing about the Russian troops? Because, again, we hear anecdotal evidence that some of them aren't happy to be there. Some of them have laid down their weapons. It's almost impossible to verify these stories. But what are you hearing?
Well, there are plenty of video footage in the internet. You can easily double check. This is the true story. When Russians actually ran away, when Russians apologized, when Russians back, that's what's on the ground really happening. But here is the thing, you know, that Russian media actually blocked an entire coverage what is really happening in Ukraine. The majority of Russian people believe that this is a minor incursion in the east of Ukraine, period. So Putin is bombing and shelling civilians and the capital of Ukraine. I will tell you one thing, sir. Today in the morning, they have this state-owned Russian agency, which is Rіа-новості, which is Russian information agency news. This is the state-sponsored agency. And you know what what kind of claim they published today? They said that President Putin made a historic decision to end the Ukrainian case, or to make a kind of final solution with the Ukrainian case. But it resembles something with Hitler. You remember the final solution?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you imagine the state-sponsored agency clearly said that Putin decided to make a final solution with Ukrainians? Before this attack, I was very clear saying that, look, Putin has the chance how he is to be remembered in the global history. If he changed his path, he won't be remembered as Adolf Hitler. What I know for sure today is that Vladimir Putin will be remembered in the global history as the Adolf Hitler of the current century.
Our Foreign Secretary Liz Truss has said this morning that she would welcome British men going to fight for Ukraine. Would you welcome Britons coming to Ukraine to help the cause?
I would welcome everyone and everybody who is ready to defend Ukraine, who is ready to defend freedoms and liberties, who is ready to defend the free world. And let me commend your government and British people for your support. Because, you know, you Brits, you know what Russians are really about. Americans know, Baltic states, Poles. So you decided to support Ukraine. Because in this, you are not just defending us, you are defending yourself. So I really commend your efforts. And the previous speaker, he was talking about the refugees. And I will tell you one thing, because a lot of people, you know, mainly women and children, they try to flee Ukraine because everyone is scared. And I really praise a lot of our European partners and friends, what they are doing, for example, in Poland, in Romania, in Hungary. They provide shelters, they provide discounts, they provide free of charge commuter trains for the Ukrainian people. That's another sign of solidarity. So going back to the question you just raised, we need everyone who can stand by Ukraine and fight for Ukraine.
Do you think this makes Putin's position more vulnerable? Do you think he's at risk from those who may not agree with his actions in Ukraine?
I don't see anybody in the normal world, because Putin's Russia do not present the normal world. And when I said Putin's Russia, it includes Russian population. I can't imagine how the Russian people can support these kind of atrocities against Ukrainians. Why they are silent? Why do they support this bloody Russian Putin's government? This is unacceptable in this century, and not only in this century. This is unacceptable for the global and human history.
Vladimir Putin has said he wants negotiations to start, but be based in Belarus. What's your answer to that?
Well, my answer is that first, President Zelensky already replied. We are ready for talks, what he said, but we are not ready to hold any kind of talks in Belarus, which is not a satellite of Russia. It's no longer a satellite of Russia. It became a Russian military base. How can we hold any kind of talks in Gostomel? This is the territory of Belarus, when this so-called self-proclaimed President Lukashenko actually allowed to make an airstrikes and missile strikes from his territory attacking Ukraine. So first, we need definitely to change the location. The second one is what kind of talks we're going to hold. So Putin wants capitulation. Because have you heard what kind of demands he enlisted?
Well, feel free to tell us.
Well, the first one is demilitarization of Ukraine. The second one is denazification of Ukraine. The third one is no NATO. It resembles me. So he wants to sell this terrible. Let me be very blunt. Crap to the Russian people that Ukraine is a Nazi state, and he wants to demilitarize Nazi state, and he even wants to have Nuremberg. You know, what I know, what's going to happen with Putin. The time will come when Putin will be at the bench sitting in the International Criminal Court because he committed crimes against humanity. So there is no negotiating position as of now. So I have to go back to the first question, sir, we raised. We need urgent, strong, very, very strong deterrence measures against Russia. This will help Ukraine to resist. This will help Ukraine to win. And another issue, which is on the table, we need an urgent supply of defensive lethal weapon for Ukrainians. Because you see that Ukrainian people, they are fighting. We are fighting.
Well, I'm going to put that to our Foreign Secretary Liz Truss in about 10 minutes' time on the programme. You can be sure of that. Thank you so much for talking to us. Keep safe. That's Arsenій Yacenyuk, who is the former Prime Minister of Ukraine and now an opposition leader.